Hey YouTube, today we're going to be talking about an exciting new mower from Mammotion, the LUBA Mini 2 all-wheel drive, which is going to be an improvement over the mower that I used all of last year. So let's get into that on Tinker with Tools. Now the concept of this video is going to actually be pretty simple. We're going to be comparing the brand new LUBA Mini 2 all-wheel drive to see if it actually has some meaningful improvements over the original LUBA Mini all-wheel drive that I tested last year. Now this is actually the third lawnmower from Mammotion that I've gone ahead and used, so I do kind of have an idea of how this mower is going to perform, but there's a couple of features that I'm pretty excited about. Now when it comes to the LUBA Mini 2 all-wheel drive, we first need to understand what was good about the original LUBA Mini all-wheel drive. First and foremost, it had really good multi-zone support. I actually have 6 different zones that it was set up for, and it was capable of navigating around my yard and mowing those without any intervention from me. Overall, the cut quality was pretty good. Additionally, while I don't have any hills in my existing yard, it was nice to have the all-wheel drive system because it's just capable of kind of getting itself out of situations that might otherwise trip up some robot lawnmowers. While I would definitely tell people that overall the use of that LUBA Mini all-wheel drive was successful, there were a couple of areas where I do think it could be improved upon. The only technical challenge that I ever had with the mower was related to the RTK base station. Communication with that was key for the original LUBA Mini all-wheel drive, and if you did not have good clearance to the sky, whether it be for trees or taller buildings, you could experience some connectivity problems, and that was certainly the case when I first set it up at my dad's house. The biggest other issue that I ever experienced was just the fact that while it could easily navigate back to where the docking station was, it seemed to struggle sometimes to actually put itself on the docking station and get it to start charging successfully. Now, the last item I'll say about the performance of that original lawnmower was just going to be the edge cutting performance. You are still going to have to plan on going out and using a string trimmer unless you just have really open boundaries around the outside of your yard where it doesn't necessarily matter if you're getting right up to that edge. So then when we start talking about the LUBA Mini 2, that's where right out of the gate, there's a couple of improvements to this mower that should address a lot of the complaints that I had. First, there is no longer an RTK base station with the LUBA Mini 2 all-wheel drive. That's right, it is gone entirely. There is nothing to set up in your yard other than the docking station so it can charge itself and the mower itself, and even the lawnmower comes fully assembled right out of the box. That's because the new mower is going to be using LiDAR and its AI vision camera system to be able to navigate around your yard. The LiDAR means that it can go ahead and map out the yard, know exactly where it is, and be able to position itself accuracy without the need of satellite connection. That's a huge improvement over the previous system if they can deliver on the performance that they're promising. The AI vision system has been upgraded and improved as well, so you should see better object detection, should be able to recognize borders and obstacles in the yard a whole lot better. Now the second big innovation or addition to the mower is going to be the edge cutting disc. This is a first as far as I'm aware on Mammotion's lawnmowers, but now you do have a smaller secondary cutting disc on the right hand side of the mower, and it should yield better performance. If you were paying attention earlier this year, I actually have currently been using a larger LUBA 3 all-wheel drive in my yard, and even that does not have the edge cutting disc. So this is something really truly awesome about this lawnmower because it sets it apart from the rest of their lineup in my opinion. If they can deliver better edge cutting performance and make it so you don't have to use a string trimmer, that really changes things and makes this a much more complete solution for people wanting to take care of their yard. With the remainder of the mower, a lot of the stuff does remain unchanged. Overall, the cutting width is pretty much the same. You still have the all-wheel drive system. It is going to be capable of handling some pretty steep hills. They have made various updates to the app. That's something I noticed with the LUBA 3 all-wheel drive. So I'm excited to see how those also then impact the LUBA Mini 2, but it should be some meaningful improvements to make the app just overall a little bit nicer to use. So now with those specs out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the real world performance of this because that's where things get pretty exciting with this lawnmower. Now, when I used the LUBA Mini all-wheel drive last year, I tried to use the auto mapping and it was not what I call an overwhelming success. It never effectively mapped out a zone, and so I did rely on the manual mapping, which is still easy to use, but it's one of the big selling points of this mower, so it would be nice to see it. So then to my surprise, when I set up the LUBA Mini 2 all-wheel drive in my front yard and set it out to map a zone, I was shocked when it actually did the auto mapping perfectly the first time. The map is set up exactly how I would have set it up with manual mapping. Overall, from the time I first set up the docking station in my yard and set the lawnmower out to start mapping, it was ready to mow in under 20 minutes and did a wonderful job at mowing the first time around. I'm happy to report back that the edge cutting disc also is a pretty big improvement. And so with the combined performance of having better auto mapping and the edge cutting disc, already this lawnmower is certainly looking like a winner to me. I am also happy to report back that when it was done mapping the yard, it returned to the docking station and first try docked itself and really kind of resolved the other issue that I had with the lawnmower. That's something I also noticed on the LUBA 3 all-wheel drive, so they must have just done something with these newer mowers that just made them a little bit more reliable. Now, I set this up to cut a single zone in my current yard, and really it did that wonderfully. I did compare the overall cut speed. It is very comparable to what I was seeing last year with the LUBA Mini all-wheel drive. Really no improvement or falling back there. It does pretty much the same kind of job. Now, testing at my yard was really just for the purpose of making this video. Its actual use case is going to be cutting my in-laws' yard, as they've recently purchased a house near us and need some yard care assistance instead of having to go over there all the time. I think a robot lawnmower is one of the best examples of why this technology makes a lot of sense. I am going to be setting it up over at their house and able to cut their yard without necessarily having to go over there and manage it each and every week. Now, their yard is a little bit tricky because you're dealing with 3 distinct zones, and that's where the first problem really arose when I went to go set it up, because the backyard is actually going to be stepped down about 3 steps over where the front yard is. And really, I started to wonder if I was going to be able to set this up. Now, they did have a small kind of gravel flower bed where I did initially see that maybe I could get the lawnmower to go up and down that reliably. And I'm happy to report back that that's where the all-wheel drive system has come in actually super clutch and made it so I can go ahead and navigate this. Being able to make it up that small gravel hill, and more importantly, make it back down effectively, has made it so we can be able to map out both the front yard and the backyard and not just have to have this mower rely on cutting one or the other. When setting it up in their backyard initially, I was happy to report that the auto mapping also did a wonderful job there. So now, having used 3 different Mammotion lawnmowers, I'm happy to report back that I think the LUBA Mini 2 all-wheel drive is actually the most impressive of the 3. Now, when it comes to the overall cut quality, it's exactly what I've come to expect from a robot lawnmower. It does a good job, and as long as you're mowing consistently, I think you're going to achieve an overall pretty good cut quality. But additionally, with the LUBA Mini 2, that edge cutting disc really improved the edge performance. And overall, there's just a couple areas where I think you'd still might have to use a string trimmer if you have a particularly tight corner with kind of obstacles there. It is still possible the lawnmower just can't get quite close enough to it, but in a lot of areas, I've even been able to eliminate the need for a string trimmer just because that edge cutting disc performs so well. The navigation system overall works a lot better, in my opinion, and like I said, the auto mapping on this thing is the best I've seen from any of the robot lawnmowers I've tested. I really have 0 complaints with this lawnmower, and I think it will serve them well for years to come. Now, when it comes to who I think should buy a robot lawnmower, that's where something like this lawnmower in particular, I think, makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. It's quite a bit cheaper already than the larger LUBA 3, and it's a little bit easier to handle. Should I ever have to move this lawnmower around manually, having it be a little bit lighter weight definitely is something that I like to see. Now, when it comes down to it, robot lawnmowers are still going to be expensive, but I think as long as you look through them in terms of the time savings they're giving you, it really does start to make a lot of sense for a lot of people. I think if you are someone who's already paying for professional lawn care, this might be a way for you to have less dependence on that and be able to have a yard that looks great all the time, not just when they come and cut, giving you the ability to have a professional cut lawn looking year round. With that additionally improved edge performance really does make it so it is pretty simple to use. Overall, depending on how long your cutting season is, you might even be able to recoup the cost in a single cutting season. That's pretty awesome in my opinion, and really helps to start make the lawnmower feel just a little bit more affordable. The other place that I think it really makes sense is, like I said, when taking care of someone else's yard where you don't live on site, having the ability to set up something and kind of forget it really makes it so it really does take better care of the yard, while not also being kind of a time commitment that you have to do each and every week. Now, I will be sure to have pricing on the LUBA Mini 2, and if you have interest in that lawnmower or the LUBA 3 that I talked about earlier in the year, I'll have links to all those videos down below and those various products. I'm really happy with all the machines I've gotten from Mammotion, but this one is easily one of the most impressive I've seen yet. Now, I want to thank Mammotion for continuing to support the channel. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Make sure to turn on notifications so you get notified when I put out a new video. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And then if you have any questions or comments, leave those down below and I'll work to get them answered. Thank you always for your continued support. And until next time, I'll catch you on Tinker with Tools.